The soft hum of the Nexus station was Ilara's lullaby, a constant, comforting thrum that vibrated through the very floor beneath her bare feet. It was a sound as familiar as her own heartbeat, a reminder that she was safe, nestled deep within the colossal habitat that floated serenely between Jupiter and its outermost moons. Outside her viewport, a swirling kaleidoscope of gas giants painted the cosmic canvas, their ancient storms like slow-motion ballets visible even from this distance. Ilara, a wisp of a girl with eyes the color of deep space and hair like spun nebulae, was perched on the edge of her bed, her knees drawn up to her chin. Her room, a cozy bubble within the vast metallic shell of the Nexus, was a testament to both futuristic practicality and childish wonder. The walls shimmered with adjustable light patterns, tonight a gentle cascade of aurora borealis hues, and her plush, zero-gravity-rated toys floated lazily near the ceiling, tethered by invisible fields. A bioluminescent moss panel pulsed softly beside her bed, casting a warm emerald glow, providing just enough light to see the intricate star chart projected onto her desk. "Time for sleep, little stargazer," a gentle voice chimed from the doorway. Ilara looked up, a small smile touching her lip. Her mother, Dr. Aris Thorne, stood silhouetted against the softly lit corridor. Aris was an astrogator, her days spent charting the Nexus' intricate dance around the Jovian system, ensuring its delicate equilibrium and constant data streams flowed unimpeded. Tonight, her usually neat bun had a few stray strands escaping, and her eyes, though tired, held an infinite softness when they met Ilara's. "But, Mum, the Jovian storm is particularly spectacular tonight," Ilara protested, gesturing vaguely towards the viewport where Jupiter's great red spot glowed like an angry eye. "It's like a living painting." Aris chuckled, walking over to sit beside her daughter. "It is, isn't it? But even living paintings need to be admired from a well-rested perspective." She tapped Ilara's forehead playfully. "Too many questions before bed." Ilara giggled, leaning into her mother's embrace. Aris smelled of ozone, recycled air, and a faint sweet scent of the nutrient paste they all consumed. It was a comforting, familiar smell. "Mom," Ilara began, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "do you ever wonder if there's more out there, beyond just other planets and stars?" Aris smoothed Ilara's hair. "What do you mean, more, sweetling? The universe is already infinite. Isn't that enough wonder for one lifetime?" "No, not just more things," Ilara insisted, her eyes wide. "More magic. Like the stories grandfather used to tell, about Stardust." Aris paused, her gaze drifting to the silent, swirling view outside. "Ah, Stardust. Your grandfather was quite the dreamer, wasn't he? He believed Stardust wasn't just cosmic debris. He said it was the whispers of forgotten galaxies, the dreams of nebulae, the very essence of creation, scattered across the void. He said, if you listened closely enough, you could hear it singing," Ilara added, quoting her grandfather almost verbatim. "Do you think it's true, Mom?" Aris sighed, a soft, wistful sound. "I think your grandfather had a beautiful way of seeing the universe. Science tells us stardust is mostly microscopic particles of rock and ice, remnants of supernovae, floating through space. But who's to say it doesn't carry stories too? Energy memories encoded in its very structure." She smiled, a rare, unguarded smile that made her look years younger. Some scientists even believe that the basic building blocks of life itself were carried to nascent planets on grains of stardust. Ilara's eyes gleamed. "So we're all made of stardust?" "In a way, yes," Aris confirmed, pulling the soft temperature-regulating blanket up to Ilara's chin. "Every atom in your body, every star you see, every planet, was forged in the heart of a star, then scattered across the cosmos. So in essence you are a walking, talking piece of the universe, little star." Ilara snuggled deeper into her covers, the thought settling in her mind like a warm, glowing ember. "I'm stardust. When, I?" "No," Aris said, kissing her forehead. "Close your eyes and dream of all the adventures that Stardust might have had." As Aris dimmed the lights, leaving only the soft glow of the moss panel and the distant shimmer of Jupiter, Elara lay awake for a moment longer. She watched the shifting patterns on her wall, a miniature galaxy swirling into existence, then dissolving into a field of tiny, blinking lights. This was the Nexus, their home, a marvel of human ingenuity. It was a self-sustaining ecosystem, a city in space, designed to house generations of scientists and explorers on a mission that stretched beyond their lifetimes. Its massive solar sails unfurled like delicate wings, gathering energy from the sun's distant rays, while its internal biodomes recycled air and water, growing all the food they needed. Elara loved the Nexus, but sometimes she felt a longing for something more, something wilder than the meticulously controlled environment of their orbital home. Her grandfather's stories about Stardust always sparked that feeling. With a soft sigh, Elara finally closed her eyes, letting the hum of the station and her mother's words guide her to sleep. The next morning, Elara woke to the gentle chime of her personal AI, a small spherical drone named Lumina. "Good morning, Elara. Cycle 734 begins. Optimal wake-up achieved. Breakfast is ready in the common mess." Elara stretched, feeling the slight resistance of the station's artificial gravity. She slid out of bed, her feet landing softly on the recycled plasteel floor. Lumina floated beside her, its single optical sensor glowing a cheerful blue. "Lumina, did anything interesting happen overnight?" Elara asked, pulling on her standard-issue grey tunic and trousers. "Negative, Elara. All systems nominal, no anomalies detected. Your mother returned to her quarters at 2:30 hours and is currently in light sleep." Elara nodded, a familiar pang of mild disappointment. Her mother, like most adults on the Nexus, worked long shifts. The mission was paramount, to gather data on the gas giants, to map the asteroid belt, and to prepare for the eventual journey to the Proxima Centauri system. Everyone had a role, a purpose, a schedule. After a quick synthetic protein breakfast in the bustling common mess, where other children and their parents were already chatting or absorbed in data logs, Elara headed to her daily learning module. Today's subject was advanced astrogation, taught by a holographic professor, Xylos, whose digital beard rippled impressively as he explained complex gravitational slingshot maneuvers. Elara found it fascinating, but her mind often drifted, picturing herself at the helm of a sleek scout ship, navigating the vast emptiness between stars. Later, during her free exploration period, Elara gravitated towards the observation deck, a massive panoramic viewport that offered an unfiltered view of space. It was her favorite place on the Nexus. Here, the hum of the station was quieter, replaced by the profound silence of the void. She watched as tiny automated maintenance drones zipped along the station's hull, performing routine inspections. Beyond them, the endless tapestry of stars stretched out, cold and brilliant. As she leaned against the cool plasteel, a glint caught her eye. It wasn't a star, nor a drone, nor even a distant asteroid. It was a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer, drifting slowly past the viewport, just outside the station's primary atmospheric shield. It looked like dust. Tiny iridescent specks, catching the distant sunlight in a way that made them sparkle with a rainbow of colors. "Stardustan," she thought, remembering her grandfather's words. Elara pressed her hand against the viewport, as if trying to reach out and touch the shimmering particles. They moved with an ethereal grace, swirling in patterns that seemed almost intentional, like a slow-motion dance. She'd seen cosmic dust before, of course, captured by the Nexus's exterior collectors for scientific analysis. But this was different. This wasn't just grey, inert motes. These seemed alive, imbued with a soft inner light. "Lumina," she whispered, "can you scan those particles?" Lumina zipped closer, its blue eye focusing. Scanning, initiating microspectral analysis. Elara's heart gave a little thump. "Unknown isotopic signatures? Unusual energy signature?" "Affirmative," Lumina replied, a hint of digital curiosity in its synthesized voice. "The energy readings are extremely low, almost negligible, but they exhibit a coherent wave pattern, unlike typical background radiation." "Coherent wave pattern?" Elara repeated, her mind racing. Her grandfather had spoken of singing Stardust. Could this be it? She watched the shimmering particles drift past, disappearing into the vastness. She wanted to follow them, to understand what they were, what secret they held. But the viewport was a barrier, and the nexus was her world. That evening, as Aris was finally home, preparing for her own pre-sleep cycle, Ilara found her mother in their small shared living space. Aris was reviewing a datapad, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Mom?" Ilara ventured. Aris looked up, her expression softening. "Yes, sweetie. I saw something today, near the observation deck, particles. They looked like stardust, but Lumina said they had unknown energy signatures." Aris frowned slightly. "Unknown energy signatures. Are you sure, Ilara? Lumina can sometimes pick up spurious readings from distant stellar phenomena or even internal station fluctuations. Our sensors are incredibly sensitive." "But Lumina said it was a coherent wave pattern," Ilara insisted. "And they look different, Mom. They shimmered." Aris set down her datapad. "Well, the Nexus agendos occasionally encounter micrometeoroids and dust clouds. We have active deflectors, of course, but some particles inevitably get close. They're usually harmless. The shimmering might have been an optical illusion, the way light refracts through the multi-layered viewport." She smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry, darling. If it were anything truly unusual or dangerous, the station's primary threat assessment systems would have flagged it immediately." Ilara felt a familiar wall of adult rationality rising. Her mother was a scientist, always seeking logical explanations. Ilara understood that, but she also felt a deep, intuitive sense that this was different. "But grandfather said Stardust could sing," Ilara murmured, almost to herself. Aris's expression softened again. "Your grandfather had a vivid imagination. He saw magic everywhere. It's a wonderful quality, Ilara, to see the wonder in things. But sometimes, what looks like magic is just science we don't fully understand yet." She paused, then reached for a small, intricately carved wooden box on a shelf. It was an old artifact, a relic from Earth, something rarely seen on the Nexus. "Speaking of your grandfather," Aris said, her voice a little softer, "I found this while going through some old inventory logs. He wanted you to have it when you were old enough. I think you're old enough now." She opened the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, was a small, smooth, dark grey stone, no larger than Ilara's palm. It wasn't particularly shiny, but it had a strange depth to its surface, as if tiny internal lights were trying to push their way out. Embedded in one side was a small tarnished silver disc with an unfamiliar symbol etched into it. "What is it?" Ilara asked, her voice barely a whisper as she reached for it. The stone was cool to the touch, almost vibrating faintly with a subtle energy. "He called it his cosmic echo stone," Aris explained. "He aimed it could listen to the universe. It's an ancient earth mineral, quite rare. The silver disc is a very old, rudimentary sensor array he tinkered with. He believed it could detect subtle cosmic energies, things our advanced instruments might miss because they're looking for different signals." She chuckled softly. Of course he was a hobbyist, not a certified engineer, but he spent countless hours with it, listening. Ilara held the stone in her hand, turning it over. It felt surprisingly heavy, yet strangely light at the same time. The symbol on the silver disc looked like a stylized spiral galaxy. It seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light of the room. "He said if you held it up to the stars, it would tell you their stories," Aris continued, a fond smile on her face. "He was always a romantic." Ilara clutched the stone. This was more than just a toy. It was a piece of her grandfather, a connection to his dreams and to her own. She felt a surge of excitement, a secret shared between her and this strange old device. "Thank you, Mum," Ilara said, her voice full of genuine gratitude. "You're welcome, little star," Aris replied, ruffling her hair. "No, I really do need to get some rest. Big shift tomorrow. Try not to listen in too hard to the cosmic echoes tonight, all right?" After her mother had gone to bed, Ilara lay in her own room, the cosmic echo stone clutched tightly in her hand. Lumina had long since powered down for the night, leaving Ilara in the quiet intimacy of her space. The bioluminescent moss panel cast its gentle glow, and outside, Jupiter continued its majestic, silent rotation. Elara carefully raised the stone, holding it up to the viewport, just as her mother had described her grandfather doing. She pressed the silver disc gently against the cool surface of the glass. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a faint, almost imperceptible hum resonated through the stone, vibrating against her palm. It wasn't the Nexus's steady thrum. This was a different frequency, higher, more delicate. And then, she saw it. Just beyond the station's hull, shimmering into view as if summoned by the stone, were the same iridescent particles she had seen earlier. Only now, there were more of them. A soft glowing cloud of them, swirling slowly, gracefully, like a cosmic ballet. They glittered with all the colors of a nebula, reds and blues and greens, catching the distant starlight and reflecting it back with an ethereal intensity. And as she watched, mesmerized, Elara realized that the particles weren't just reflecting light. They were emitting it. Each tiny speck, a miniature star in itself, pulsed with a soft, internal luminescence. And the hum in the stone grew stronger, a gentle melodic vibration that seemed to synchronize with the shimmering dance outside. It was faint, almost beyond the range of human hearing, but Elara could almost feel it, a silent song, a delicate chorus of light and energy. The Stardust was singing, just as her grandfather had said. And the cosmic echo stone was helping her hear it. She closed her eyes, letting the sensation wash over her. The hum seemed to translate into images in her mind. Vast, swirling galaxies, ancient stars being born and dying, planets forming from cosmic dust. It was as if the Stardust was whispering its story directly into her consciousness, a tale of billions of years, of creation and destruction, of life unfolding across the universe. When she opened her eyes again, the cloud of stardust was still there, a soft, luminous veil against the backdrop of Jupiter. It seemed to be moving closer to the Nexus, drawn by some unseen force, or perhaps, drawn by her. Elara felt a thrill of wonder, and a tiny spark of fear. This wasn't just cosmic debris. This was something alive, something ancient and mysterious. And it was right outside her window calling to her. What was it? What did it want? And what would happen if it truly reached the Nexus? She clung to the cosmic echo stone, its hum a steady pulse in her hand, her gaze fixed on the dancing stardust. The universe, she realized, held far more magic than even her grandfather had dared to dream. And she, Elara, a tiny piece of stardust herself, was about to discover its secret. The hum of the cosmic echo stone intensified, vibrating through Elara's small hand, up her arm, and settling deep within her chest. It wasn't just a physical sensation. It was a resonance, a symphony of light and shadow playing in the very core of her being. The stardust outside her window, previously a scattered glitter, began to coalesce, drawing together like iron filings to a magnet. What had seemed like a distant, nebulous form, was now resolving into something vast, breathtaking, and utterly alien. It was not a ship, nor a comet, nor any construct of known intelligence. It was a creature woven from the fabric of the cosmos itself. Its body, if it could be called such, was a shimmering tapestry of iridescent nebulae, spiraling galaxies in miniature, and streaks of pure, unadulterated starlight. It pulsed with a gentle inner luminescence, like a colossal heart beating with the rhythm of creation. Tendrils of cosmic gas, like silken fins, unfurled from its form, propelling it with stately grace through the void. It was impossibly large, dwarfing the distant, glittering starships that occasionally crossed the sector, yet it moved with a delicacy that defied its scale. And the call was no longer a whispered suggestion, but a full-throated, silent song. It didn't pierce her ears, but resonated in the very atoms of her being. It was a melody of longing, of ancient memory, of profound loneliness, and an undeniable, overwhelming hope. It spoke of journeys across eons, of the birth and death of stars, of secrets whispered in the void. It was a language without words, a pure emotional broadcast that bypassed her conscious mind and spoke directly to her soul. Elara felt a strange pull, an irresistible urge to reach out, to respond. The echo stone grew warmer, its pulse mirroring the cosmic beat of the creature outside. Her grandfather had always said the stones were keys, not just to memory, but to understanding. He'd taught her that the universe wasn't just cold physics, but a living, breathing entity, full of stories waiting to be heard. He called himself a cosmic cartographer, charting not just stars, but the invisible currents of life that flowed between them. He would know what this was. He would understand its song. Her first instinct was to run, to wake him from his deep slumber in the adjacent observatory chamber. But something held her back. A delicate intuition, a whisper from the echo stone itself, suggested that this moment, this encounter, was hers alone. It felt too fragile, too personal to share just yet. She was a tiny point of consciousness, barely a flicker in the grand cosmic tapestry, yet she was the one it had found. She was the one who heard its song. The creature, this star singer as Elara instinctively named it, was now close enough that she could discern individual stellar nurseries swirling within its form, tiny novas blooming and fading like ephemeral flowers. It hovered just beyond the invisible energy field of the Nexus, the vast crystalline city that was her home. The Nexus. It was more than just a city, it was humanity's jewel in the void, a marvel of bioluminescent architecture and zero-gravity parks built into a hollowed-out asteroid. Its surface was a tessellation of shimmering energy panels that harvested solar winds and cosmic radiation, filtering it into breathable air and clean energy. At its heart lay the Grand Library, a repository of all recorded knowledge, and the Stellar Nursery, where budding astrophysicists tended to nascent star systems in controlled environments. But the true core, the reason for its name, was the conflux chamber, a massive spherical space where energies from across the galaxy were said to converge, making the Nexus a beacon, a crossroads, a vital node in the galactic network. The star singer was drifting towards this conflux chamber, its trajectory precise, deliberate. It wasn't attacking, it was seeking. Its song intensified, becoming a crescendo of silent yearning. Elara watched, mesmerized, her small face illuminated by the creature's ethereal glow. The echo stone in her hand pulsed in perfect sync now, not just warm, but radiating a gentle energy that suffused her whole body. She closed her eyes, letting the sensation wash over her. When she opened them again, the world seemed sharper, brighter, more alive. "What do you want?" she whispered, her voice a mere puff of air in the vastness of her room, yet the echo stone seemed to amplify her intent, sending it out like a ripple. In response, the star singer shifted. A cascade of starlight flowed from its colossal form, coalescing into a single luminous point directly in front of Elara's window. It wasn't just light, it was an image, a projection, shimmering with an impossible clarity. The image showed a place Elara knew. The conflux chamber. But it wasn't empty as it usually was, awaiting ceremonial gatherings. In the center of the chamber, where the various energy conduits met, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer pulsed. It was source of the star singer's longing. It was what it sought. Elara gasped, her breath catching in her throat. She knew that shimmer. Her grandfather had shown it to her once, on a rare occasion when he allowed her into the conflux chamber's observation deck. He'd called it the heartbeat of the Nexus, a remnant of the primordial energy that had birthed the asteroid itself, a unique cosmic signature. He'd explained it was inert, a beautiful but unreactive phenomenon. But the star singer saw it differently. To it, it was a beacon, a call, a reflection of its own essence. The projection faded, replaced by the star singer's full form, now closer, its cosmic tendrils almost brushing against the Nexus' outer shield. Alarms hadn't sounded yet. The Nexus's automated defense systems, designed to detect hostile ships or dangerous debris, seemed to be confused by the star singer's organic, yet non-threatening, nature. Or perhaps, Elara thought, they simply couldn't see it in the same way she could, through the lens of the echo stone. She knew she couldn't just stand there. If the star singer tried to force its way in, even gently, the Nexus's shields might react defensively, potentially harming the creature or the station. And if it was truly as ancient and powerful as it felt, what if it couldn't be stopped? A surge of courage, fueled by the echo stone's steady thrum, filled her. Grandfather had always told her to listen to her heart, especially when the universe spoke. And the universe was speaking, loud and clear, through the star singer's silent song and its ethereal projections. She slipped out of her room, the echo stone clutched tightly in her hand. The corridors of the Nexus were quiet, bathed in the soft, ambient glow of bioluminescent fungi that lined the walls. Most of the residents were either asleep or immersed in their own late-cycle projects, oblivious to the cosmic visitor. The only sound was the gentle hum of the station's life support systems, and the distant, rhythmic thrum of the star singer's presence, now audible even without the stone. Her small feet padded softly on the recycled plasteel floor, as she made her way towards the conflux chamber. It was a long journey from the residential sector, through the hydroponic gardens, past the sleeping research labs, and finally, into the central spire that housed the chamber. "Grandfather," she whispered into the comlink embedded in her wrist, but only static replied. He often disabled external communications when deep in his star-charting simulations. This was truly up to her. The conflux chamber was an architectural marvel. A vast spherical space, its walls were composed of a transparent, force field-enhanced crystalline material that offered a breathtaking 360-degree view of the surrounding void. It was usually dark, save for the occasional ripple of energy that passed through the conduits, but tonight, it was bathed in the soft multi-hued glow of the star singer. As Elara approached the massive pressure-sealed doors, they slid open silently, sensing her approach. She stepped inside, her eyes immediately drawn to the center of the chamber. There it was. The heartbeat of the Nexus. A tiny, almost invisible shimmer, a faint distortion in the fabric of space-time, pulsing with an inner light that was so subtle, so delicate, it was often mistaken for a trick of the eye. But, tonight, it was responding. It was glowing, faintly mirroring the star singer's luminescence, a tiny echo to a cosmic call. The star singer itself was now directly outside the chamber, its immense form pressing against the transparent walls. It wasn't trying to break in, but rather, to connect. Its silent song filled the chamber, wrapping around Elara, a cloak of pure emotion. It was a song of recognition, of belonging, of a journey's end. Elara walked to the very center of the chamber, to the shimmering heartbeat. She held out the cosmic echo stone. The stone pulsed wildly, resonating with both the star singer and the heartbeat, acting as a bridge. As she extended her hand, a thought clear as a bell echoed in her mind. It wasn't a voice, but a pure, untainted understanding, projected directly from the star singer through the echo stone. Lost, for eons, lost. A fragment, searching, to return. A fragment? The star singer was a fragment. Of what? And the heartbeat of the Nexus. Was it a fragment too? Another cascade of images flooded her mind, more vivid than any hologram. She saw ancient times, before humanity, before the Nexus. She saw a vast living nebula, a primordial cosmic being, drifting through the early universe. It was the star singer, but whole, complete, radiating an unimaginable power. Then, a catastrophic event, a supernova, a cosmic storm of unparalleled fury. The being shattered, scattering its essence across the nascent galaxy. Countless fragments, tiny seeds of light, flung into the void. And one of those fragments, barely more than a spark, had eventually found its way to this asteroid, embedding itself deep within its core, becoming the heartbeat of the Nexus. It had lain dormant for millennia, a sleeping spark until now. Until the star singer, its larger, conscious self, had finally tracked it across the vast emptiness, guided by the faintest resonance. The star singer wasn't trying to enter the Nexus to cause harm, or even just to be close. It wanted to reunite in. It wanted to reclaim its missing piece, to become whole again. Elara felt a profound sense of empathy. To be broken, to search for eons for a lost piece of yourself, it was heartbreaking. But what would happen if the star singer absorbed the heartbeat? Would the Nexus be damaged? Would it cease to function? The heartbeat was vital, even if inert, a foundational energy signature that anchored the station. No harm, only completion. We are one, We will be one again, the thought song reassured her, washing away her fears. The star singer understood her concern. It wasn't about consumption, but integration. Elara looked from the shimmering heartbeat to the colossal star singer outside the transparent wall. The creature's light seemed to dim slightly, as if its immense journey had taken its toll, as if it was running out of energy, its very existence dependent on this reunion. She had to make a choice. A choice that could affect the entire nexus, perhaps even the future of cosmic understanding. Her grandfather would have agonized over the implications, the potential risks, the scientific protocols. But Elara, with the cosmic echo stone warm in her hand, felt a simpler, more powerful truth. This was not a scientific problem. It was a reunion. A family finding its way home. She placed her free hand on the shimmering heartbeat, feeling its faint, rhythmic pulse. The echo stone vibrated furiously in her other hand, pouring its energy into the connection. She closed her eyes and focused, not on logic, but on feeling. On the pure, unadulterated longing of the star singer, on the quiet, yearning pulse of the heartbeat. "Connect," she whispered, her voice barely audible, but her intent amplified by the echo stone, was immense. "Be whole." Outside, the star singer pulsed with renewed intensity. Its cosmic tendrils, which had been pressing gently against the shield, now retracted slightly. Instead, a beam of pure concentrated starlight, fine as a laser, but warm and inviting, extended from its form and passed quite through the transparent wall of the conflux chamber, directly towards the heartbeat. It wasn't a destructive beam, but a delicate, energetic thread, a bridge of light. As it touched the heartbeat, the tiny shimmer began to grow, to expand, to glow with an inner fire Elara had never seen before. The chamber filled with a soft, warm light, tinged with the colors of a distant nebula. The heartbeat wasn't being absorbed, it was being deactivated. Its light pulsed faster, stronger, mirroring the star singer's rhythm. The ambient hum of the nexus itself seemed to shift, subtly, harmonizing with the growing energy. Then, slowly, gracefully, the beam of starlight widened, encompassing the heartbeat entirely. The heartbeat detached itself from its inert state, lifting gently from the floor of the chamber, still connected by the glowing umbilical cord of starlight. It drifted outwards, towards the star singer, a tiny sun drawn to its parent star. As the heartbeat passed through the transparent wall, no longer a barrier, but a permeable membrane of energy, it began to reintegrate with the colossal star singer. It wasn't a violent collision, but a seamless merging. The star singer seemed to take a deep, cosmic breath. Its myriad nebulae swirled, its miniature galaxies spun with renewed vigor, and its light intensified, becoming almost blindingly beautiful. The silent song, which had been a melody of longing, transformed into a chorus of profound joy, of ultimate peace. It was the sound of completion, of a wound healed, of a soul returned. Elara felt it deep in her bones, a warmth that spread through her entire being, a connection to something ancient and glorious. The star singer, now whole, pulsed majestically outside the nexus. It was even more magnificent than before, its colors richer, its light more vibrant. It lingered for a moment, its immense form radiating gratitude, a silent thank you that resonated through Elara and the echo stone. Then, with a gentle, deliberate motion, it began to turn. Its cosmic vines unfurled, catching the solar winds, and it began to drift away from the nexus, slowly accelerating, leaving a trail of shimmering stardust in its wake. It wasn't leaving forever, Elara felt. It was simply moving on, complete, renewed, ready for new journeys. As it receded into the distance, its light diminishing, the conflux chamber returned to its usual ambient glow. The heartbeat was gone, but in its place, a faint, lingering warmth pulsed from the center of the chamber. It wasn't the inert shimmer from before, but a residual energy, a memory of the reunion, a new kind of anchor. Elara stood alone in the vast chamber, the echo stone now cool in her hand, its hum a soft, contented purr. The silence that followed the star singer's departure wasn't empty, but full. Full of wonder, of knowledge, of the echoes of a cosmic song. She looked out at the retreating star singer, a tiny speck of ultimate beauty against the velvet black of space. Her grandfather's words echoed in her mind. The universe holds far more magic than even I dared to dream. He had been right. And she, Elara, had just been a part of it. A tiny piece of stardust, connecting worlds, healing ancient wounds. What would happen next? Would the Nexus authorities realize what had transpired? Would they understand the profound significance of the Star Singer's visit? And what new mysteries would the revitalized, transformed conflux chamber reveal? Elara didn't know. But as she turned and walked out of the chamber, her heart thrumming with a quiet exhilaration, she knew one thing for certain. Her adventure had only just begun. The universe had revealed a secret, and now a new chapter was unfolding. And as she turned and walked out of the chamber, her heart thrumming with a quiet exhilaration, she knew one thing for certain. Her adventure had only just begun. The universe had revealed a secret, and now a new chapter was unfolding. The smooth iridized doors of the conflux chamber slid shut behind her with a whisper, sealing the cosmic secret within. Elara took a deep breath, the air in the corridor suddenly feeling thin, charged with unspoken possibility. She expected silence, perhaps the hum of the Nexus's automated systems, but instead, a flurry of hushed voices and the soft thud of approaching footsteps met her ears. Around the curve of the corridor, a small contingent of Nexus security personnel appeared, their energy shields retracted but their posture alert. Behind them, a figure of authority, Administrator Theron, strode forward, his face a complex blend of concern and profound curiosity. Theron was a respected, if somewhat rigid, leader, known for his meticulous adherence to protocol, but also for his deep, if often hidden, reverence for the unknown. Elara, Theron's voice was low, careful, are you well? We detected an unusual energy signature emanating from the conflux chamber. A spike unlike anything recorded in Nexus history. Our systems are still trying to calibrate. He gestured vaguely at the chamber doors, then back at her, his eyes searching her face. What transpired in there? Elara felt a flicker of apprehension. How could she explain the Star Singer? The profound, silent communication? The cosmic dance that had rewritten the very purpose of the chamber. I don't know exactly, Administrator, she began, choosing her words carefully. There was a presence, Theron's brows furrowed. Changed? How? He exchanged a glance with a security officer, whose datapad glowed with incomprehensible diagnostics. Our long-range sensors picked up a faint, almost imperceptible resonance wave. It seemed to originate from the deepest reaches of the galactic core, passed quite through our space, and then intensified within this very chamber. Elara could only nod. The truth was far more poetic than any scientific explanation. She felt a protective instinct over the Star Singer's visit, a desire to guard its wonder from the clinical dissection of science, at least for now. It's different now, she repeated. It feels alive, like it's listening but also speaking. Theron, despite his analytical mind, seemed to grasp the spiritual undertones of her words. He had always been fascinated by the legends of the old cosmos, before the scientific age had demystified so much. We need to understand this, Elara. The implications could be monumental. We're going to need to seal off this sector, run comprehensive scans, and we'll need you to remain available for debriefing. His tone was firm but not unkind. It was clear she wasn't under suspicion, but rather under intense, invaluable observation. Elara was escorted to a comfortable high-level observation suite, overlooking the main Nexus spire. It was less a detention, and more a highly secure, luxurious waiting room. From the panoramic window, she could see the shimmering pathways of the Nexus, the endless stream of star freighters arriving and departing, the distant glow of the central star. But her mind was still in the chamber, replaying the Star Singer's gentle pulse, the sense of ancient wisdom, the profound love that had permeated the air. For hours, Nexus scientists buzzed around the conflux chamber, their advanced scanners projecting holographic readouts that pulsed with unfamiliar energy signatures. They detected exotic matter fluctuations, quantum entanglements on an unprecedented scale, and a strange harmonic resonance that seemed to hum at the very edge of perception. They couldn't open the chamber doors, they were sealed by an unknown force, radiating a benign but impenetrable field. It was as if the chamber itself was now a sentient entity, guarding its new form. Ilara watched the frantic activity, a quiet smile playing on her lips. They were trying to measure the immeasurable, quantify the infinite. The Starsinger hadn't just upgraded the chamber, it had imbued it with a piece of its own cosmic consciousness, a connection to the fundamental tapestry of the universe. Late that cycle, Administrator Theron returned, his face etched with a mixture of exhaustion and awe. "Ilara," he said, sinking into a plush chair opposite her, "our scientists are baffled. They've run every diagnostic, every theoretical model. The chamber is generating energy consistent with a microsingularity, yet it's entirely stable, and radiating a benevolent, not destructive field. It's a living paradox." He paused, rubbing his temples. "We believe you are the key. The chamber will not respond to us, but it seems to be waiting for Joe." Ilara's heart leaped. She knew it. The connection she felt was real. "I'll go back," she said, without hesitation. "But I need to go alone at first. I think it needs trust, not just data." Theron considered this, then nodded slowly. "Very well. We will monitor from a distance, but the inner sanctum will be yours. Just be careful, Ilara. We don't know what this new power is capable of." The next morning, Ilara walked back into the silent corridor leading to the conflux chamber. The security personnel were gone, replaced by a single unobtrusive sensor array embedded in the wall. The chamber doors, which had resisted all attempts at entry, now shimmered with a faint, inviting luminescence. As she approached, they parted soundlessly, revealing a sight that stole her breath. The conflux chamber was no longer the sleek, utilitarian hub she remembered. The central platform now pulsed with a soft inner light, not harsh or artificial, but organic, like the heart of a nebula. Strands of luminous energy, shimmering with all the colors of a distant galaxy, wove themselves into intricate patterns along the walls, occasionally coalescing into fleeting constellations before dissolving. The air hummed with a gentle, melodic thrum, a silent song that resonated deep within her bones. In the center of the platform, where the communication console once stood, was a crystalline projection. It wasn't a screen, but a three-dimensional tapestry of light, constantly shifting, showing fleeting glimpses of far-off nebulae, swirling galaxies, and even what looked like alien landscapes, vibrant with colors she'd never witnessed. It felt like looking directly into the universe's mind. Ilara stepped onto the platform. The light embraced her, warm and comforting. She reached out, her fingers hovering inches from a shimmering projection of a binary star system. As her hand drew closer, the projection responded, blossoming outward, revealing intricate details of the system's planets, their atmospheres, even their subtle orbital dances. It wasn't just a display, it was a connection. She felt the subtle gravity of the planets, the warmth of the twin suns, the faint whisper of solar winds. "It connects us," a thought seemed to echo in her mind, not in words, but in pure understanding. Not just to send, but to perceive. To experience. She realized then that the Starsinger had not just upgraded the chamber, it had transformed it into a universal sensory conduit. It was a bridge, not just for data, but for re-experience. It allowed one to perceive, even briefly, the reality of distant corners of the cosmos. Ilara closed her eyes, focusing on the crystalline projection. She thought of the Starsinger, of its message of unity and discovery. A new image bloomed within the chamber. It was a faint, almost imperceptible signal, radiating from a point far beyond the known boundaries of charted space. It wasn't a visual image, but a feeling, a yearning, a faint echo of distress, interwoven with patterns of profound beauty. It was a song, she realized. Not a song of joy, like the Starsingers, but a lament. A call for help, disguised as a cosmic lullaby. Her eyes snapped open. The crystalline projection now showed a clearer, though still abstract, representation of the signal's origin. It was a cluster of stars, ancient and dim, shrouded by a swirling dust cloud that seemed to absorb all light. Within that cloud, a faint, rhythmic pulse, the source of the lament. "What is it?" Theron's voice crackled over the intercom, startling her. He and his team were watching from a secure observation room, their faces pressed against the transparent wall, a mixture of awe and bewilderment. "Elara, the chamber is projecting coordinates, highly unstable, and the energy output is fluctuating wildly." "It's a call," Elara murmured, her voice filled with wonder and a growing sense of urgency. "A distress signal, but it's encoded in emotions, in sound, not just data." The chamber responded to her words, the light patterns intensifying. The lament grew stronger, more defined, painting a picture in her mind of an ancient civilization, perhaps facing an existential threat, sending out a final desperate plea into the void. "Can you trace it?" Theron asked, his voice now edged with excitement. "I think so," Elara replied, focusing. The chamber was now less a machine, and more an extension of her own will, guided by the Star Singer's initial touch. She imagined reaching out, following the emotional trail. The crystalline projection solidified, showing a path through the star-dusted velvet of space, charting a course through nebulae and past uncharted dwarf galaxies. "The coordinates are stabilizing," a scientist exclaimed from the observation room. "Unbelievable, it's charting a direct course to an unknown sector, designated the Veil Nebula." Theron's eyes, usually so focused on pragmatism, were wide with a new kind of fire. "Beyond our capabilities, or beyond our imagination until now?" He looked at Elara. "This chamber, Elara, it's not just a communication device, it's a key." He entered the chamber, cautiously stepping onto the platform. The light softened around him, acknowledging his presence. "This call, do you feel its urgency?" "Yes," Elara said, "it's fading, it's ancient, and it's almost gone. Whatever it is, whoever it is, they need help, and soon." Theron stood silently for a moment, absorbing the profound implications. The Nexus had always been a hub of information, a center of galactic diplomacy, but it had never actively engaged in such deep space, uncharted rescue missions. This was a new paradigm. "We need a ship," Theron finally declared, his voice resolute. "A ship capable of deep space traversal, equipped for unknown phenomena, and we need a crew." He looked at Elara, his gaze unwavering. "And I believe you, Elara, must be part of that crew. This chamber has chosen you. You are its conduit." A thrill shot through Elara. This was it. The adventure she had unknowingly yearned for. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. Over the next few cycles, the Nexus mobilized with unprecedented speed. A ship was selected, the Stardust Weaver, a cutting-edge exploration vessel, previously used for theoretical physics experiments at the edge of known space. It was sleek, powered by a revolutionary quantum flux drive that bent spacetime itself, allowing for jumps far beyond conventional warp gates. Its hull was reinforced with self-repairing biopolymers, and its sensors were hypersensitive, designed to detect even the faintest whispers of cosmic phenomena. Elara spent hours in the Stardust Weaver's command center, learning its systems, familiarizing herself with its navigation protocols. A small elite crew was assembled. Commander Jax, a seasoned pilot with a calm demeanor and eyes that had seen countless stars. Dr. Aris, a xenolinguist and first contact specialist, whose intellect was as boundless as her curiosity. And Kai, a brilliant young engineer, whose hands seemed to understand the very language of machines. They were all briefed on the unusual nature of their mission, a distress call received through a newly transformed conflux chamber, guided by Elara's unique connection. There were skeptics, of course, but the sheer, inexplicable data coming from the chamber, combined with Theron's endorsement, had swayed even the most hardened pragmatists. Elara found herself spending every available moment in the conflux chamber, using it to refine the coordinates, to better understand the subtle nuances of the distress call. She discovered that the chamber could project holographic schematics of the Stardust Weaver, allowing her to mentally pilot it through simulations of the perilous journey, past gravitational anomalies and through fields of dark matter. It was like the chamber was preparing her as much as she was preparing for the mission. It showed her glimpses of the Veil Nebula, a place of breathtaking, terrifying beauty, where nebulae swirled like cosmic paint, concealing wonders and dangers alike. On the day of departure, a small crowd had gathered at the Stardust Weaver's launch pad. Theron stood beside Elara, his hand on her shoulder. "Be safe, Elara," he said, his voice soft. "And bring back whatever truth lies out there. The Nexus, the galaxy, we are waiting." Elara nodded, a mixture of nerves and exhilaration bubbling within her. She hugged Theron, then ascended the ramp into the Stardust Weaver. The interior was a symphony of soft lights and gentle hums, the air tasting faintly of ozone and anticipation. "All systems nominal, Commander," Kai reported from engineering. "Navigation locked on conflux chamber coordinates," Dr. Aris confirmed. Jax, in the pilot's seat, gave Elara a reassuring smile. "Ready when you are, Elara. Lead the way." Elara took her place at the central console, her hand resting on the smooth, responsive surface. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the distant pull of the lament, the cosmic song that beckoned them. She opened them, a new resolve shining in their depth. "Initiate launch sequence, Commander," she said, her voice clear and strong. The Stardust Weaver lifted off, a silent, graceful ascent from the Nexus's central dock. It passed through the shimmering atmospheric shield, leaving the familiar hum of civilization behind. The stars rushed into view, a diamond dust scattering across a velvet canvas. With a gentle lurch, the quantum flux drive engaged. The stars outside the viewport elongated, stretched into impossibly long streaks of light, then smeared into a tunnel of swirling colors. The ship wasn't warping, it was folding space, bending reality to its will, plunging them into a dimension where distance was merely a suggestion. Elara watched, mesmerized, as nebulae painted themselves across the temporal window, colors she had only ever dreamed of. The journey would be long, through uncharted territories, where maps were useless and intuition was paramount. Somewhere out there, within the heart of the Veil Nebula, a civilization was singing its final beautiful song, and Elara, guided by the Starsinger's gift, was answering its call. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, and she was finally on her way to uncover another one. The Ilubine hummed a low, comforting thrum against the vast silence of the void. Elara, nestled in the pilot's couch, watched the temporal window, a shimmering veil that distorted reality into streaks of impossible light. Days bled into weeks, then months, marked not by solar cycles, but by the shifting tapestries woven by the Jalabi's transit drive. She was a tiny mote, a whisper in the cosmic roar, but the Starsinger's gift was a beacon in her soul, growing stronger with every parsec traversed. Her ship, the Lullaby, was more than metal and circuits, it was a companion. Its a gentle maternal presence named Lyra, kept her company. "Elara," Lyra's soft voice would chime, "your neural patterns indicate a slight elevation in delta wave activity. Perhaps a period of meditative rest is advisable." Or, "Proximity alert, unidentified energy signature at 0.003 light-years. Analyzing. Merely a dust cloud energized by a nascent stellar wind, fascinating." Elara would often talk back to Lyra, sharing her thoughts, her fears, her growing anticipation. "Lyra, do you ever wonder what it feels like to Xing a star into existence, rather than just hearing its echo?" "My programming does not extend to such sentient queries, Elara," Lyra would reply, "but I can access historical data on stellar formation and the theoretical acoustics of protostars should you wish." "No, Lyra," Elara would chuckle, "it's not about data, it's about..." The journey was a crucible. She navigated through shimmering fields of dark matter, where the Lullaby sensors screamed warnings of gravitational anomalies that could tear a ship apart. She skirted the edges of ancient stellar nurseries, their nascent suns flaring with raw, untamed energy, bathing the temporal window in blinding primal light. Once a rogue comet, a frozen world hurled through the void, arced across their path, its icy tail glittering like a diamond river. Elara, with Lyra's precise calculations and her own intuitive feel for the currents of space, always found a way through. During these long stretches, the Starsinger's gift deepened. It wasn't just a melody she heard anymore. It was a resonance, a vibration in the fabric of space itself. She felt the distant hum of galaxies, the silent pulse of dying stars, the faint nascent murmur of worlds yet to be born. The final song of the Veil Nebula civilization was no longer a distinct tune but a complex symphony, layered with emotions, sorrow, hope, resignation, and an underlying current of profound peace. It was a tapestry woven from light and shadow, and Elara was learning to read its intricate patterns. She practiced her own singing, not just to pass the time, but to hone her connection. She would close her eyes, her voice a soft hum, then a rising tide of sound, mimicking the cosmic harmonies she felt. Sometimes, Lyra would adjust the ship's internal frequencies, creating an ambient field that resonated with Elara's voice, amplifying her connection. It was during one of these deep meditative sessions that the true nature of the Star Singer's gift revealed itself. It wasn't just about hearing, it was about empathy. It was about feeling the universe's heart, understanding its myriad expressions of life and death, creation and dissolution. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, and yet a mere blink in cosmic time, Lyra announced, proximity to designated coordinates, Veil Nebula, initiating deceleration protocols. The temporal window shimmered, then cleared, revealing a sight that stole Elara's breath. The Veil Nebula was not just a cloud of gas and dust, it was a colossal, ethereal cathedral of light. Filaments of ionized hydrogen glowed in vibrant reds and purples, stretching like cosmic tendrils across the black. Emerald and sapphire mists swirled around clusters of young hot stars, their light piercing the nebular haze. It was both beautiful and terrifying, a place where the universe seemed to be flexing its raw, untamed power. The song here was deafening, yet not with sound. It was an overwhelming presence, a vibration that permeated the Ilubbai's hull, tingling Elara's skin. It was a chorus of millions, perhaps billions, of individual consciousnesses, intertwined into a single, majestic farewell. "Lyra," Elara whispered, her voice barely audible, "can you pinpoint the source?" Identifying core resonance frequency, projecting a path, the source appears to be centered within a region of extreme nebular density, a pocket of quiet amidst the chaos. Signature indicates a complex, non-baryonic energy matrix. Elara nodded, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Non-baryonic. Not made of normal matter. This was truly alien. She guided the lullaby deeper into the nebula, weaving through the iridescent veils, past shimmering stellar nursery cocoons, and fields of cosmic dust that sparkled like diamond dust. The song grew clearer, more defined, less a distant echo, and more direct communication. It was not a language of words, but of pure emotion, of shared memory, of collective consciousness. As they approached the pocket of quiet, the nebula parted, revealing a phenomenon unlike anything Elara had ever witnessed. It was a vast, shimmering sphere of pure light, pulsating with an inner radiance that seemed to draw all the colors of the nebula into itself. It wasn't a star, for it emitted no heat, only a gentle, profound light. And within this sphere, Elara could feel the song most strongly. "Lyra, display visual spectrum analysis," Elara instructed, her voice hushed. The iLullaby screens flickered, showing intricate patterns within the light sphere. They weren't solid forms, but swirling currents, like a cosmic ocean of thought. And then, as Elara focused her Starsinger's gift, she saw them. They were beings of light, pure consciousness, existing as intricate patterns within the sphere. They had no physical bodies in the traditional sense, no limbs or faces, but their forms shifted and coalesced, momentarily resembling vast, crystalline structures, then flowing rivers of pure energy, then intricate fractals of thought. They were the Veil Singers, and their final song was a grand communion. "They are not dying, Lyra," Elara realized, tears stinging her eyes. "They are transitioning." "Analysis confirms your hypothesis, Elara," Lyra confirmed softly. "They are undergoing a collective energy state shift, emerging into a higher plane of existence. This song is their farewell to this dimension, a final outpouring of their accumulated wisdom and experiences before they depart." Elara felt an immense wave of emotion wash over her, not her own, but theirs. It was a profound sense of peace, an acceptance of the cycle of existence, a celebration of life lived and knowledge gained. But beneath that, a subtle undercurrent of longing, a desire for one last connection with the material universe they were leaving behind. She understood then why she had been called. The Star Singers were not just observers, they were bridges. They were the universal empathizers, capable of connecting with even the most alien forms of life, to bear witness, to offer solace, and sometimes to carry forward a piece of what was left behind. Elara knew what she had to do. She unstrapped herself from the pilot's couch, moved to the ship's central chamber, and stood before the clear observation dome. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and began to sing. Her voice, initially hesitant, quickly found its strength, weaving itself into the colossal symphony of the Veil Singers. She didn't try to mimic their complex non-verbal communication. Instead, she sang of humanity, of the warmth of a sun on skin, the laughter of children, the sorrow of loss, the joy of discovery. She sang of Earth, of its oceans and mountains, its vibrant life. She sang of the journey through the stars, of the wonder and the loneliness, the courage and the fear. She sang her own story, and through it, the story of her species, of their struggles and their dreams, their yearning for connection in a vast, indifferent cosmos. As she sang, the light sphere of the Veil Singers responded. Its pulsations intensified, and the intricate patterns within swirled faster, brighter. Elara felt their collective consciousness reach out to her, not as an invasion, but as a gentle embrace. She felt their ancient wisdom, their understanding of the universe's deepest secrets, flow into her mind. She saw flashes of their history, their evolution from raw energy fields within the nebula, their millennia of peaceful existence, their gradual realization that their form of life was destined to transcend, to merge with the cosmic fabric itself. And then, a new element entered their song, a thread of pure crystalline energy that wove itself around Elara's own voice. It was a gift. Not a physical object, but a piece of their collective essence, a seed of their wisdom, implanted gently within her star singer's gift. It was a knowing, a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all things, a heightened sensitivity to the subtle energies that bind the universe. It was a resonance, an echo of their final transition, that would forever be a part of her. When Elara's song finally faded, exhausted but profoundly changed, the Veil Singer's sphere began to contract, its light growing more intense, more focused. The chorus of voices, the vast symphony, became a single piercingly beautiful note, held for an impossibly long moment, reverberating through Elara's very being. Then, with a final silent flash of blinding light, the sphere compressed, imploded inward, and vanished. The nebula around them seemed to sigh, its colors dimming slightly, as if mourning a departure, or perhaps celebrating a transcendence. The pocket of quiet was now truly quiet, empty save for the residual shimmering of nebula gas. Elara stood there for a long time, the silence profound, the weight of what she had witnessed settling deep within her soul. "They are gone," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "They have transcended," Lyra corrected gently. "And you, Elara, have borne witness to a singular event in cosmic history. Your gift has been amplified." A new feeling bloomed within Elara, a sense of peace deeper than any she had known. The universe no longer felt vast and indifferent, but intimately connected, a grand tapestry where every thread, every life, every transition played a vital role. She was no longer just a star singer, but a keeper of a new kind of memory, a bridge between dimensions. The journey back was different. The lullaby still hummed its comforting tune, and Lyra still offered her gentle observations, but Elara was changed. The star singer's gift now felt like an anchor, a root system extending deep into the cosmos. She heard not just the songs of stars and civilizations, but the whisper of nascent consciousness in a moon's core, the joyful dance of a newly formed nebula, the profound peace of a collapsing black hole. She understood the universe, not as a collection of separate entities, but as a single, living, breathing organism, constantly evolving, constantly singing. When the lullaby finally emerged from the transit drive near her home system, the familiar sight of her son, a warm, golden orb, brought a pang of bittersweet emotion. She had left as Elara, a girl with a unique gift. She returned as Elara, the Veil Keeper, a woman who had communed with pure light and carried a piece of ancient wisdom in her soul. She landed the lullaby gently on the orbital platform, the familiar gravity a welcome embrace. As the airlock opened, her mentor, the old star singer, was there, his wise eyes twinkling. He didn't ask what she had seen, or what she had done. He simply looked at her, and in his gaze, Elara knew he understood everything. He saw the new light in her eyes, the deeper resonance in her being. "Welcome home, Star Singer," he said, his voice a soft melody. Elara smiled, a radiant, peaceful smile. "It's good to be home," she replied, and in her voice, there was a new depth, a subtle harmony that spoke of distant nebulae and the echoes of transcendent songs. She knew her journey was far from over. The universe was still vast, still full of mysteries. But now, she carried a piece of its grand symphony within her, a beacon of hope and understanding. As she drifted off to sleep that night, the gentle hum of her old ship still reverberating in her memory, Elara listened to the quiet songs of her own world, knowing that somewhere, out among the stars, new melodies were always beginning, and she, the star singer, would always be there to listen, to witness, and to carry their beautiful echoes across the boundless night. And as she slept, the cosmic lullaby of the universe sang her name, a promise of wonders yet to come.